I'd like to call to order the October meeting of the Steering and Legislative Governmental Committee. Good to see each and every one of you here this evening. As you noticed, Chairman Harris is not with us this evening. You have your Vice Chairman, Pettis Reed, with you. Chairman Harris is with his family this week on fall break, and we're so glad he's having the opportunity to do so. We'll begin first with the approval of our minutes. Those have been sent to you. Do I have an approval for those minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion for their approval. Jonathan Beverly. Second. Commissioner Mike Cush. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, they are approved. Item 2, public comments. We have not received any by phone, so we'll move right on into item 3. It's the announcement of a library board vacancy to fill a retiring member's seat. That term will expire in June 2027. Item 4, to confirm the Historic Courthouse Museum Board of Trustees vacancy. This is open to a representative from the Rutherford County Historical Society. We have one applicant, Carol Ann Hughes, and she is a member of the Historical Society. In fact, she serves as secretary, and she is here this evening. Commissioners, would you like for Ms. Hughes to come forward? We'll ask that you come forward and just give us your name and some information about your work with the Historical Society. Good evening, Carol.
My name is Carol Hughes. I've been an active member of the Historical Society for the last 5 years. Served on the board. I currently serve as the secretary. I've got a lot of interest with the Historical Society, historic preservation, serving the history of our county and promoting it for our future generations and visitors. And currently I'm very active working with old cemeteries and trying to find out the history behind the people in those cemeteries and locating a lot of these abandoned ones and help clean them up. And that's basically it. Any questions?
No, thank you. I hear a nomination for Ms. Hughes.
I make the motion to approve Ms. Hughes.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. She is the only applicant. Do we have that made as an acclamation?
Yes.
As such, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Chairman, can I make a comment? I knew Carol from a long time ago as a reserve deputy at the sheriff's office, and learning what she's doing now and what she's involved in, this is truly a person with a servant's heart. I just proud to nominate her.
Thank you, sir. And we're glad to have her on this important position we have here looking after this museum we have here in the courthouse and part of that board. Moving now down to item 5. This is confirm a BZA vacancy. It's a 5-year term. It's through October 2023 through October 2028. I believe we have 2 applicants this evening. The applicants I have here are James Patrick Hale and Larry Dale Jernigan. Are those 2 applicants present? We have one back here. Okay, Mr. Hale, I ask that you come forward. Ask you some of the same
thing.
Your name,
okay.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Patrick Hale. I've served as a interim committee member for the BZA for the past 3 months. So this is a role that I've been in. If you have any questions for me about how I would continue to hold myself moving forward, I'm here if anybody has any questions. This is a role I've been able to see how much time it takes. It's not that much. It's a way for me to be able to give back to my community, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. So if you don't have any questions, I'll just say I would appreciate your vote to move on to the next step with the full committee. Any questions?
Not,
All right.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See Mr. Jernigan. Don't believe he's here this evening. Commissioners?
There is just one vacancy, correct, Mr. Chair?
Vacancy.
I would like to, hold on one second. I'm going to make a motion, but I'm going to make sure I get this right. I would like to make a motion to move Mr. Hale's name to the nomination.
Second.
And Mr. Hale. Second. Another nomination? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner McAdoo? Commissioner Johnson?
Hale.
Commissioner Cush?
Hale.
Commissioner Rather?
Hale.
Commissioner Beverly?
Hale.
Chairman Reed?
Hale.
Motion
Mr.
passed.
Hale is our new member. Moving now to item 6, confirm 2 beer board vacancies. This is a 3-year term. It's through October 2023. And I think we have, what, 4? If I'm not right? Right. We only have, I think there's 3 that are listed that you have there. But let me explain something to you. The alternate that you have that we are showing as an alternate would like to be listed as one of the applicants as well, because I think she has been serving in this position for the last several meetings. So you actually have 4 applicants for this. There is a Misty Foy, a Jonathan Wayne James, James Dre Curtis, Joanne Medlin. These applicants here this evening? One here, one over here. Okay. We only have, what, 1 applicant that's here this evening. We'll ask Ms. Medlin to come forward. You already serve on the, do you serve on that board, I believe?
Yes, my name is Joanna Medlin. I have previously served on the beer board. This would be my 3rd term if I'm reappointed. I've enjoyed it, and the county's growing, and so we've stayed pretty busy. So I appreciate your consideration.
We have the other 3 applicants that are available for this position. I think what we'll do with these, just move on to those 4 names. Just decide, gentlemen, which one you would like to, we're needing 4 applicants. Permissible with all, yes, sir?
So, Mr. Chair, for clarification, if I understand correctly, and my iPad doesn't work as fast as my brain or my fingers do, Joanne Medlin is a reappointment.
Right.
The other 2, well, Foy has been an alternate for 2 years.
Right.
She's applying, and the other 2 are brand new appointments. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So they have not served on the board at this time.
That's correct.
So there are 2 positions open and then one position open as an alternate, correct?
Correct.
So will we be voting as such that the top 2 vote getters will be appointed to the board? The third least votes would be appointed as the alternate, and then the fourth would be sent home with the consolation prize?
Well, that's true.
Okay,
That's the way we'll do that.
all right. All right.
So when you vote, you'll vote for 2.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. May I propose a suggested alternative that may help thwart some possible confusion that could happen later on? I might suggest breaking it up, so voting for your 2 members first, and that'll leave you with 2 individuals remaining, and then you do a second round of voting to select who's going to be the alternate out of those other 2.
We can do that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so you have the 4 names: Medlin, Curtis, Foy, and James. Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Cush,
I'm going to nominate Foy and Medlin for the beer board representatives.
Foy, Medlin. Commissioner Beverly,
Curtis and James.
Curtis, James. Commissioner McAdoo. Foy, Medlin. Commissioner Rather,
Bedlin, Curtis.
Commissioner Johnson,
Curtis, Medlin.
Chairman Reed.
Foy, Medlin.
I have Medlin with 5, Curtis with 3, Foy with 3, and James 1. So we're gonna have to, we have a.
So James, I'm sorry, so Curtis and Foy are not here. It doesn't matter why they're not here, but if I could speak on Foy's behalf, she has been an affiliate or a alternate for 2 years. She's paid her dues, in my opinion. She would like to be on the beer board. It looks like the other applicant has not been on the board thus far, so has not paid their dues. So I think that should give an edge to Foy, the fact that she's been through this 2 years and would like to continue to be on an elevated level on the board. So I would like for you all to take that into consideration.
What we're going to do, Medlin, we're going to go ahead and give her a position, and then we're going to take another vote on Foy and Curtis. Call for another vote on Foy and Curtis. That's who you're voting on.
Commissioner Johnson,
Medlin and Floyd.
no, sir.
Vote for one.
It's Curtis or Foy.
Yeah, Floyd.
Foy. Commissioner Beverly? Commissioner McAdoo? Commissioner Rather?
Boyd.
Commissioner Cush?
Boy.
Chairman Reed?
Boy.
Foy wins that one.
Boy and Medlin will be the two applicants. Now we will take Curtis and James for the alternate. So that's who we're voting for now for alternate. Please call the roll.
Commissioner McAdoo? Curtis. Commissioner Beverly? Curtis. Commissioner Cush?
Curtis.
Curtis. Commissioner Rather?
Curtis.
Commissioner Johnson?
Curtis.
Curtis. Chairman Reed?
Curtis.
Curtis.
Curtis is the alternate. We'll now move into item 8. We are confirming an IDB vacancy to fill retiring member seat. The term expires in August 2022. I have 2 applicants. First is Rick Hall, and then we have another, Dwayne Alton Miller. Are these applicants here tonight? One's here? All right, we'll ask that you'll come forward. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Hall. I'm a insurance agent out of Smyrna. I'm a partner with Rayburn Insurance. Before that, I was in law enforcement. I did 25 years with the Smyrna Police Department and retired in 2017. I also served here on the County Commission from 2006 to 2010, and I got a lot of familiar faces, but I'm applying for the Industrial Development Board because I think my experience in the past of being on the commission and staying involved in politics, if y'all think back in 2006, we were up here fighting over BEP money, and the time Senator Ketron said that, hey, this is the way we need to do it, and we never got it. And then he was in as mayor, and it never got through, and now we've renamed BEP to something else. So I think I'd be the only or first past county commissioner would be on the Industrial Development Board. That I think I look at it from the seat you're in and the issues you're facing. That was what 16 years ago I was on, and you guys are still having the same issue that I had, and from 2006 to 2010. But I appreciate your vote, and if you got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Commissioners?
I have a question. We're in a renewed push for impact fees or development revenue. Do you feel like the county's moving in a correct direction with that, or is that something you think we need to shy away from? How do you feel? Because the development board obviously triggers a lot of development, which brings revenue and residential growth into the county.
I think 1,000% you guys are on the right track. It's a shame Rutherford County's the only one that can't ask for impact fees. The town of Smyrna's had it now for 20 years, and Murfreesboro has it, and it's paying for the roads, it's paying for their fire departments, it's paying for a lot of the leisurely things that we take for granted that you guys can't in the county with funding education and everything the way we get. I don't know how the new funding formula is going to fit into y'all's thing, but impact fees are, unfortunately with what Representative Rudd did this past year, it's a shame for you guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We basically have 2 applicants. Paul and Mr. Miller. So I think we'll just call those a roll and let y'all decide. Hall and Miller. And when she calls your name, tell us which one you wish to vote for.
Commissioner Rather,
Hall.
Hall. Commissioner Johnson,
Hall.
Hall. Commissioner McAdoo, Hall. Commissioner Cush,
Hall.
Hall. Commissioner Beverly,
Hall.
Hall. Chairman Reed.
All. All, appreciate you being here this evening. This time we'll do item 9, which is a lobbyist report. Will DeMami. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to share what I think is some positive news. We had quite an eventful week last week. We had TASER met on Wednesday and Thursday, and if you're not familiar with TASER's the group that does a lot of in-depth legislative studies for issues that are usually pending before the General Assembly, and Representative Sparks had a resolution to bring our issue with impact fees before the TASER committee. So on Wednesday and Thursday, the committee met, and they really expanded the scope to look at affordable housing from a bigger picture than just the acquisition cost. A lot of people, as we've talked about impact fees and adequate facilities taxes, have only sort of focused on what does it cost to purchase a home. And that's important. The acquisition cost is important. But there's a lot more to owning a home, as everyone in this county knows. Those are tax bills. They have them now. And part of it is the ongoing cost, property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, repairs. It's like if you buy a used home, it's like buying a used automobile. You might have to replace something, a transmission. We all think about the cost of fuel as it relates to owning a vehicle, but those are the costs. It's that ongoing cost. And I've got to take a moment, if I can, to brag on the mayor. Mayor Carr was there. He testified on Wednesday. He did an outstanding job before TASER in talking about the affordability of existing homes and the pressure that's on the market from what's happening specifically in Rutherford County. And I think that was very helpful. So that was Wednesday and Thursday. On Friday, we had a meeting, and I want to be respectful of the groups that we met with, but we had a meeting with the realtors and the home builders in Murray County and myself, with obviously on your behalf. And we engaged with some ideas, and I'm not going to get into too many specifics about what we talked about, but I do want to say, and I want to give some credit to one person that's not here today, Chairman Harris, and his help and advocacy with the Home Builders Association. And I want to thank members of the delegation who also have been working, who've been working continuously. And we had an exchange of ideas. And one thing that occurs to me that as we continue to have these conversations, it occurs to me that a lot of people really don't understand the difference between cities and counties. And like the previous speaker said, a lot may not realize where we are in terms of Murfreesboro having impact fees, Smyrna having impact fees, Laverne, Eagleville. The same voters that elect those councils elect this commission and elect the delegation, but this commission doesn't have the same set of tools as Wilson County or Williamson County. And I think it's helpful to really try to explain the difference and where the county's position is. And I know that some folks think it's easy to raise property taxes, but one of the things that people don't realize that even when you raise property taxes, what happens over time and what will happen to this county next year when there's a loss in the millions for a sales ratio. So the money that you bring in that helps chip away at the $750 million worth of capital costs for schools, 150 now being done with 600 left on the table to take care of. a lot of folks don't realize that the revenue that you're bringing in based on the budget this year, you're going to see a decline in property taxes due to a sales ratio. So there's a lot of education that's going on, which I'm happy, I'm positive. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. We still have a ways to go, and we've got several months left before we get back into the General Assembly, Mr. Chairman. But I wanted to share that news with you, take any questions you have.
Questions? Questions for Will? That's done an outstanding job.
Appreciate you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work down there.
Yes, sir.
HR report. Tanya Stevenson.
So I apologize that I didn't get this on SharePoint in time, but I wanted to make sure you had a copy to look at as we went through it. So if you look at the snapshot, the one that's the main page of the activities that have gone on in the department this month, the highlights are the recruitment efforts are at 1370, the reports and surveys at 510, the training at 517, and the leave at 137, and with that special projects 104 and testing 111. Just to touch on the high points of what those are for the recruitment efforts, let me get to that page. Did a little bit. I'll go with the leave first. I'll just do them in order. So with the leave, we have 96 active FMLAs currently. We have 6 extended leaves. We have 4 who are on COVID leave, 22 on military, 5 for OJI, and 4 personal leaves. That totals the 137 for our leave category. For the under recruitment, we received 544 applications. We sent out 128 declination letters, we conducted 133 interviews, and we referred 544 applications as well to the department. So that totals our 1370 for our recruitment efforts for the month of August. For our reports and surveys, we conducted 25 background checks. We had 18 exit interviews. We had 303 open records requests. We had 73 Title VI reports, 18 turnover reports, State of Tennessee refused positions. So we are now tracking those individuals who apply for unemployment but who refuse employment with Rutherford County, and we're reporting those individuals. So we have 15 of those reports for this month, and there's some other ones and twosies in there, but that accounts for our 510. For our special projects, we had various different projects that we worked on, some budget preparation for, amazingly enough, this upcoming budget year. We've already started the process on that. It takes a while. Some teamwork projects that we're working with departments, some unemployment information, social media postings where we're trying to increase our recruitment efforts throughout the county, so we're doing more from a social media standpoint. Of our evaluation and testing, the number one category is the background checks. We had 25 of those. Conducted 18 MMPIs. Those are required of our law enforcement, the sheriff's office, and our correctional work center. Conducted 16 physicals, 32 pre-employment screenings, and 10 random drug tests, and some other items that are the evaluation and testing line. In our departments, we provided, and this is primarily the courts, we provided 73 interpreters for the court, primarily the court process, with Spanish being our main one. 63 interpreters were provided for the court proceedings for Spanish, 4 in Arabic, 1 in Uzbek, 3 in Burmese, 1 in Cantonese, 1 in Kinyarwanda, and that rounds out our Title VI reporting information. Are there any questions about this piece? Okay, I'll go on to the next page, which would be the number of applications. So it'll start out, it'll say Ag Extension. It should that's the page you got. Should say Ag Extension started. So this lets us know how many job postings we had for the month of August by department. So the Ambulance Center, we had 4 job postings, and you see the Sheriff's Office, we had 6. So it lets you know how many postings were actually active during the month of August. And then the other box that's to the side was the title of the posting, when it was posted, the open date to close date, and then, September, not August. And then it tells you how many applications have been received thus far for those postings, so that lets you know the applicant flow that's coming into the department. The last pages, I started providing to you the number of vacant positions. This will let you know the vacant positions by department. And it also lets you know when that position became vacant, if it's a new position, and the title of that position. So that lets you kind of see what we've got out there that we're trying to fill at the present time. Are there any questions from anyone?
Questions on the report?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved.
Mr. Chair, I do have a quick question.
Yes.
Sonia, for my benefit and anyone listening at home, for any of these open positions, is a form available on the county website? Is it a standard form for any of these positions? How does that work? How does the form work?
So we post all of our positions on the county website, and they're posted through a system called My Smart Hire. But through My Smart Hire, we also post on Indeed, and then 10 to 12 other posting agencies pick up those postings off of Indeed. We also share them on social media, our Facebook site. We'll send out things on LinkedIn for some of the business professional, or like if it's something that's unique, an engineer or something like that, we'll do that on LinkedIn as well. And they're also on Channel 19 and our website. So we try to make sure that we're covering all of our bases, and we would absolutely love anybody in the community sharing this with somebody they know to try to help us fill our positions. Other questions?
Other questions? Commissioner Johnson?
What department is having the biggest problem filling their positions?
Well, we've got our public safety departments, I hate to say, are always the hardest to fill. They're the largest departments, our sheriff's office being our number 1 largest department in the county, followed by the ambulance service. So when you have a lot of positions like that, obviously it leaves a lot of positions that you need to fill. Some of our positions that we have a hard time filling are some of our lower level positions where the pay may not be as high as some other departments in the county. So like at Paul's, some of our positions like our kennel attendant has a little bit harder time filling those positions. We don't seem to have as, I won't say it's easy, but as difficult a time filling some of our administrative related positions as much as we do our public safety. Those are, I call them boots on the ground that are out there. The only department that seems from a public safety standpoint that doesn't have a hard time hiring is our fire department. And they have been blessed so far that whenever we post a job, they'll get hundreds of applications to become a firefighter. So, long story short, our public safety, our sheriff's office, ambulance, Paul's, those seem to be the ones having the hardest time.
The SROs?
I'm not sure how many SROs. I know the sheriff tried to get all those filled, so let me see what's on the list, I can tell you. And I will say that the sheriff may actively have people ready to fill all the departments may have somebody ready to fill this position, but as of today, HR has not received that paperwork. So I did this report up until, like 30 minutes before I came tonight, just so it would be as accurate as possible. That doesn't mean that they haven't conducted interviews and may have somebody ready to fill that position. They just haven't sent it to me yet. But if you look at, let me look at the sheriff's office real quick. Yeah, they have several SRO positions that they're looking to fill. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, you have on your iPad the litigation list. Had the opportunity to go through that and looked at those. Is there any questions or anything we need to discuss on the litigation list? If not, we'll move into other business. Any other business needs to come before this group? Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of you recall we had some late discussion during the budget process this past year about alternative taxes. One of those was wheel taxes, to increase the wheel tax. It was much too late in the process for us to have really any impact on this year's budget. The process for alternative taxes should start way before we get into the budget process. I would ask that the steering committee look at wheel taxes, the makeup of wheel taxes, the process that we would have to go through as a county to increase wheel taxes, and get that accomplished sometime by the end of the year, and pass that information along to budget so that they'll have that option available to them next year as the budget process begins. I'm not advocating, and I know all of you would not advocate that either, but what I'd like for the steering committee to do is just to take a look at that process and what it would take for the county to increase wheel taxes if necessary as an alternative to property taxes. So if steering would take on that assignment and have that discussion this fall, and be prepared to pass that information along to budget sometime after the first of the year.
We'll take that under consideration, Mr. Chairman. I think someone else have something?
Well, since
Yes, sir.
Since Phillips brought that up, when the word got out that we were increasing property taxes, or potentially, which we did, most of my phone calls had to do with wheel tax. Carl and I had a discussion why that, it's apples and oranges, so to speak. So I know years and years ago, when I was a little fella, we had a guy named Bart Fight, went all around the county enforcing wheel tax laws. So I think if we're going to do that, I would like for that to be part of that discussion, is to have, back then it was one guy, and we probably need 2 or 3 or 4 now, but I think that needs to be part of the discussion. If we're going to raise them, we need to enforce what we have. Because someone who lives here and frequents Coffee County, like I do, I can go to Coffee County and get my tags a lot cheaper, but still live here. Now, I wouldn't do that, but how many people would do that? And that really needs to be enforced. So my thing is, let at least that be part of the discussion. I don't want to discuss it here tonight, but it's something to think about. Thank you.
That discussion will need to be led by our county's attorney's office with the proper process to go through. I didn't mention his name tonight, but part of that, the big part of that will be for the county attorney to lead us through that process.
Okay. I didn't know where Commissioner Rather was going with that when he said he was buying his tags, and I see our county clerk sitting back here. I thought, you're really opening the door for yourself right there. All right. But like I said, I see our county clerk sitting back here. I appreciate her being here with us this evening. I see our Chairman Johnson is here tonight. Commissioner McMurray's here. Chief of Staff for the mayor's here this evening. Hennessy, we've got a very good crowd here tonight, and appreciate you being a part of this. Anything else needs to be coming before this group?
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up with Chairman Phillips, in my tenure as county commissioner, the wheel tax has been brought up and chatted about in Public Works multiple times. And I'm not going to put words in the mayor's mouth, but at Public Works, we did talk about the Bart Smith position and the need for that. And the mayor was favorable of having that discussion about putting somebody in a patrol car and enforcing that. So he was open to that fact, but I'm happy for steering to delve into the wheel tax question, but I would ask our chair or vice chair to request our county attorney to remind us of our legal foundation that we have on the wheel tax and where that money is earmarked for, because I'm going from memory and that's never good, that there is specific percentages of where that money has to go to. So we need, before we can pontificate about what to do, we need to clearly understand what our legal foundation is.
Absolutely, and that's why I said we'll take into consideration. There's a lot of things to be looked into, and the county attorney will most definitely be involved in that, and I appreciate that, Commissioner Cush. Commissioner Johnson.
Point of clarification, the current formula now on the wheel tax is 40% for education, 30% for the general fund, and 30% for the highway department. I don't know what it'd take an act of Congress to take anything away from anybody else. So that...
Let me make myself perfectly clear. This is not an endorsement of increasing the wheel tax. All we're asking steering to do is to look at the process that would need to be put in place and get all that worked out. The steering committee, and I'm sure you guys would not endorse any type of a tax increase, but just forward on the information to budget so that budget can have that information as we get into the budget process next year. That's what we decided to do at the end of the budget process this year, simply because the whole budget alternative taxes came up late in the process and it was impossible. So we're just trying to get ahead of that curve this year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Johnson.
Also, in 2000, there was an increase of $20. Okay, we have two avenues. 2/3 majority of the county commission can approve that, or at 2 readings, or it can go on a referendum.
Okay, sir. You know, that number 12, wherever we put that on an agenda where it says other business, and I see a chairman sitting here, and I got another chairman back here, and a chairman sitting here, that's basically a fishing hole, and sometimes you just hope you don't get a bite. That's about when you're a chairman sitting up here. But if there's no other business at this time, I'm calling this meeting adjourned.